Hello and welcome to Pilates From Home. So this is going to be a 30-minute Pilates class for the full whole body. All you need for this session today is a mat and a little bit of space. So if you want to pop your mat down, we're going to start off today down on the ground. We're going to go through a little gentle warm-up just to get the body warm before we start the main content of today's session. So if you want to find yourself into 4-point kneeling position, we're going to set up our starting posture here. So we want to ensure our hands are directly underneath the shoulders. Legs are wide apart, so we've got a nice wide base of support. Tops of the feet are relaxing down onto the mat. We've got the knees directly underneath the hips. And we're going to spread our fingertips wide, pushing the fingertips down into our mat, into the ground, just to take any pressure off our wrists. Let's start with a few gentle cat-cows just to warm up through the spine. So we're going to drop that belly down to the mat, arching through the spine, gently looking up to the ceiling with the neck. Feeling that stretch and opening through the front of the body. And then gently roll and tuck that chin down into the chest as we draw up. Really trying to create that height through the upper back. Pause for a couple of seconds before we reverse that again. Good, and repeat. So just work through in your own comfortable speed and pace, holding any points for a little bit longer where you feel like it's needed. Not forgetting about the breath, so starting into the deepen the breath right to the base of the lungs. Just preparing the body for exercise. And come to find your starting flat back position. I'm going to take a side bend through the left, so looking over that left shoulder. And bring it back to the centre, and gently over to the right, looking over that right shoulder. Good, repeating that again over to the left. Inhale as you go. Exhale to release. Inhale to go to the right. Exhale to release back down. Good, and we're just going to take a few gentle rocks through the body. So just bringing the weight from the base of the hands up and over the fingers. Just to warm up through the wrists. I'm going to turn those wrists now so fingers are facing out towards the side. I'm going to circle the body round. Reversing it round in the other direction. Walk those hands so fingers facing together. Same thing as we circle the body weight round and reversing back round in the other direction. And taking those hands back to that starting position and start our session. So we're going to straighten out through the left leg first, keeping the knee nice and straight. We're going to look to the top of the mat with the eyes, so we're making sure our neck's in a nice lengthened position. Pointing through that left toe as we lift it in line with the rest of the body and lower back down. So squeezing through that left glute to lift the leg and lower. We don't want the leg getting up crazily high. We just want to try and bring it in line with the rest of the body, so we've got a nice straight line from the head down to the toe. And then bringing it back down. So making sure we're not hyperextending through those elbows. Keep the elbows and arms nice and relaxed. Let's go one more on this side. Relaxing it down, bring that leg back in, stretching out through the right leg now and repeating on this side. So pointing through the toe, squeeze to lift, bring that leg in line with the rest of the body and lowering back down again. Keep that weight centrally distributed, so we're trying not to lean over to the supporting side too much. Good, let's take two more. Final time, and releasing back down. Straightening back out through the left leg again. And this time we're going to lift the right arm as well. So we want leg and arm off the ground, nice straight line from the fingertips down to the heel. I'm going to draw in the elbow to meet the knee, crunching through the body, and then straightening back out again. So nice and controlled. Inhale to draw in, exhale to reach back out again. And try not to rush it. Don't worry about the speed, just focus on the control. Let's do one more on this side. Slowly lowering that arm and leg back down, changing to the other side. So right leg goes back, followed by the left arm this time. Nice straight line from the heel to the fingertips and drawing them in. Elbow to meet the knee, crunching in through the body and extend back out. Keep that slow control, controlling the breath. Let's take two more. Final time. Reaching back out, slowly lowering back down to the ground with control. And I'm going to gently take our legs out and ease ourselves all the way down into lion. And bring ourselves slowly over into a side lying position. Bending through both knees. So here we want to make sure our feet are in line with our bum. So we're not going off into our banana shape. Bottom arm goes out to support the head and neck. I'm going to think here about stacking the hips nicely on top of each other. So in order to do that, we need to draw this top hip away from the top shoulder. So that will make sure that our hips are stacked nicely on top of each other and we're not dumping down into our waist. So it should make a little gap between the waist and the mat. You can just slide your hand underneath. That's what we want to maintain throughout these hip exercises, just to keep those hips nicely stacked and make sure we're getting the most out of these glute muscles. So we're going to start with our climb at level 1 exercise, keeping the inside borders of the feet glued together, floating that knee to the ceiling and slowly back down again. So we don't want to be rocking back and twisting through the pelvis and the lower spine. Staying nice and stable. It's these outer glute muscles that are working. So inhale to lift, exhale to lower back down. So you can use the left hand in front of the body for a little bit of balance and support if you want to, or you can pop it on that hip out of the way, just to challenge everything a little bit more. So keep squeezing the inside borders of the feet together when rotating that knee out higher than the foot and back down again slowly. Keep checking in with that waist, just make sure we're not dropping down into that side. Good. So let's go for 2 more here. And then we're going to slowly straighten out through the top leg, keeping the bottom leg bent. Let's lift and lower. So just keeping the knee straight, not turning out through that leg, so everything's staying facing forwards. And just lifting, not worrying about the height. Again, just focus on controlling the movement, making sure we're not dumping down into that waist. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Keep it slow and controlled. On this next one, we're going to lift and hold the leg. Holding it kind of midway, and we're going to draw a really small circle, maintaining the height of that leg. Make sure the movement's coming from the hip joint in the groin. Slowly controlling it backwards. You might be starting to feel that heat and burning sensation building up now in these outer glutes. Keep the breath going. Keep the strength to get through it. I'm going to reverse that circle round opposite way now. We've got 5 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Slowly lowering that leg down with control. Well done. Give that outer hip a little rub or give that leg a little stretch. And then we're going to bring that front leg out of the way, giving it a rest. So we're going to bend through the knee, bringing it in front of the body as we straighten out through the bottom leg. We're going to work our right leg now on the adductor muscles, so the muscles on the inside of the thigh. So all we want to do here is lift and lower that bottom leg away from the ground. So we're thinking about squeezing through those inner leg muscles. Try and draw that leg up to the ceiling and gently back down again. So making sure again that we're still keeping that gap between the waist and the mat, not dumping down into the side body. Okay, on this time we're going to lift and hold that leg. And we're just going to pulse it at the top. So don't let it touch the ground. We're just going to really think about squeezing through the inside of that leg to draw the leg as high up as we can towards the ceiling and back down again. So through quite a small range. Don't let that leg touch the ground at all. Quite a funny one because you can't actually see that leg really. So it might feel quite confusing, but just slow it down if you need to. Draw that leg up and down, up and down. We've got 5 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, and lowering all the way down with control. Well done. So have a roll onto your other side now. I'm just going to quickly change ends of the mat so you can still see what I'm doing. So this time left arm goes out to support us. We're stacking the legs one on top of each other. Again, have a glance down to make sure that the feet are in line with your bum before you come down into your side lying position. Gentle bend in the knees as we stack those hips one on top of each other again. So drawing this time the top right hips away from the shoulder, keeping those hips nicely stacked, creating that little mouse hole again between the waist and the mat. And again, as we did on the other side, we're going to start off with our climb at level 1. So inside borders of the feet stay glued together, knee floats up and gently back down again. Again, make sure we're not rocking back and twisting to try and get that leg extra high. We don't care how high it's going. It's more about controlling that movement. So using that hand in front if you need to for a little bit of support. Make sure we don't hold any tension through that supporting arm, through that upper arm, sorry. You can pop your hand under the hip out of the way if that feels better. Just keep checking back in with the waist, checking back in with the rest of the body, making sure those hips stay nicely stacked, everything's where it needs to be. Good, let's take 2 more here before we straighten out through that top leg just as we did on the other side. Lift and lower with that straight leg. Again, making sure we're not turning out through that leg. So it's the side of the foot that's leading the way. Just as high as feels comfortable and then slowly back down. Breathe in to lift, breathe out to lower. Good. Okay, we're going to take 2 more and then we're going to lift and hold this leg. So on this one, lift and holding it there as we take those circles backwards again. So again, just make sure that the movement's coming from that hip joint. It's not just the ankle that's twisting, it's the whole leg that's drawing that circle backwards. Maintaining the height of that leg, so even though it might be starting to get tired, don't let it drop towards the ground. And we're reversing those circles back round. Keep breathing through that burn, embracing the burn through the outside of the hip. We're almost there. Let's just take 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and lowering all the way down with control. Good, giving that hip a little stretch. And then we're going to work the other underneath leg now. So again, bring that top leg into the front, out of the way, straightening out through the bottom leg as we go for our lift and lower, working those adductor muscles again. So really squeezing through the inside muscles of that thigh to draw that leg up to the ceiling and then all the way back down to the ground. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Keep control of the breath. Give it just a few more here before we're going to lift and hold that leg. Okay, on the next one, we lift and hold that leg as high as we can, and then taking those pulse movements up and down. Try not to let that leg come all the way down to the ground. Just think about it getting higher and higher towards that ceiling. Squeezing through those adductors. Keep that leg out straight. Try to keep it in alignment with the rest of the body so it's not creeping forwards towards the front supporting leg. Remember to slow those pulses down if you need to. Keep the breaths going. We've got 5 more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, and lower it all the way back down. Well done. Let's have a roll onto our backs. And let's just give those hips a little bit of a stretch before we move on to the next exercise. So if we just slowly walk the feet out to the outer edges of the mat. Just going to let those knees fall in together. You might need to walk them out even wider than the width of your mat if it feels like you've got a little bit more range through those hip joints. Just letting those knees fall into touch. And then we're going to walk those legs back in, bringing the soles of the feet together, just let those knees fall out to the side. Try to keep pushing the lower spine down into the ground, so don't let the lower back arch up too much away, just because the legs feel like they can go out further. Try to keep that spine down, even if the legs can't fall out quite as far. It's just going to be keeping you in a more neutral position. Not hyperextending through that lower spine. Drawing the legs back up together again. We're going to straighten down through the right leg as we draw the left leg in towards the chest. Using those hands. I'm going to gently draw that left knee across towards the right shoulder. So bringing it across on a diagonal. Relaxed breaths to really get the most out of this stretch and make sure you're not holding any tension. Before we release that leg all the way down, swapping sides. So use the hands to draw in the right knee towards the chest. And then gently using that right knee across to the left shoulder. Bring it across on that diagonal. Holding it there when you feel like you've hit the point. And nice relaxed breaths into that stretch. And slowly releasing down out of that stretch. We're going to gently bring ourselves up to seated position now. I'm just moving back on the mat. Soles of the feet are going to come down. I'm going to kind of come into a little bit of abdominal work now. So sitting up nice and tall through the spine, arms are going to reach out in front of you. We want to make sure that those shoulders aren't creeping up to the ears. So we're pushing them down, get some nice length through the neck. Both arms reached out in front of us. Imagine that you're holding on to kind of a football or a football-sized object. So we've got that nice gap between both arms. And we're going to come down into a seated roll down. So we want to think about slowly slumping down through the spine and gently easing our weight backwards. Come into a C-shaped curve with our spine. And then slowly back up to sitting. Breathing out as we go, slowly coming down. Breathing in to come back to that upright position. So just as far as you can control it, only going as low as you can control. We don't want wobbling and falling back. And just making sure that chin isn't poking out too much. So think about drawing that chin in towards the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck muscles. Breathe out as we go. Breathe in to come back up. So don't worry if you get a little bit of a shake when you're back. That just means that those muscles are working really hard to stabilise us and to hold us there. Okay, so we're going to go one more and then we're going to hold it back in that position. Now as we're holding that there, we're going to open through the left arm and twist towards the front. And then close it back in. Open through the right arm, twist towards the back and close it back in. So this is just going to be working through those outer oblique muscles. Again, don't worry if you're shaking. Try to keep control. Breathe out as you twist and open. Breathe in to come back round. Good, let's take it once more to each side. Back to the front and then slowly uncurling all the way back up to seated. Relaxing those arms down. Let's take them back behind the body. Fingertips come to meet the mat. And let's take a gentle back stretch. So squeeze those shoulder blades together. Pushing the chest out, looking up to the ceiling. Opening through that body and just curving and arching that spine in the opposite direction. Nice deep breath in and out. And gently uncurling back up. We're going to come and lower ourselves down onto our forearms now. Into our next exercise. I'm going to do a little bit of single leg tabletop work for the legs. I want to make sure though, even when we're working the legs, we're not dumping down here into our arms. So we're pushing away, pushing the ground away from us, opening through the front of the chest, slightly squeezing those shoulder blades back together as we go. We want to maintain that position throughout, so just keep checking back in with the upper body to make sure we've not collapsed down here as we're concentrating on our legs. We're going to start and lift the left leg up into single leg tabletop. So ideally here we want a nice right angle position, toes directly behind the knees. So we don't want it to be up here, we don't want it down here. We want it here. And then we're going to lower back down, repeating on the right side. And down. So this movement's coming from the hip joint in the groin. We're lifting up and then lowering back down again. Good. So keeping that there if that's enough. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, this time we can do a little swap. So as one leg lifts, the other lowers. So it's just toe kind of touching the mat and springing back up again. It's as if you're dipping your big toe into a puddle of water on the floor. So we're not completely lowering down in between each repetition. We're springing to change positions. Again, making sure those knees are staying at a nice right angle position the whole time. Checking back in with that upper body. Make sure you're not dumping down into the chest. Good. Let's just take 2 more reps here. Slowly lowering the legs back down, flattening the feet down to the mat again. This time we're going to straighten out through the left leg. So we want it in line with the other leg. So not up too high, not too low, kind of parallel to the supporting leg. We're going to flex through the foot and ankle, slowly lowering it down to the ground, but don't let it quite touch, and then bring it back up again. So slowly lowering it down, hovering a few centimetres away from the ground, back up again. Nice and controlled. Don't forget about the breath. Don't forget about the upper body. Lots of things to be thinking about at the same time here. Oops, mine accidentally touched the floor there. Hopefully you're doing better than me. Let's go 2 more on this side. Last time. Let's bend it back to our single leg tabletop and lower down to the ground as the other leg has a go. So straightening out, flexing through the foot and ankle. Remember, leg is parallel to the supporting left leg as we slowly lower down with control, hovering off the ground and back up. So again, remember, we don't want it too high. When it comes back up, we just want it in line with the supporting leg. Try not to let that leg or foot come into contact with the ground. Let's take 2 more on this side. And then let's bring it back to our single leg tabletop and all the way down to the ground. Let's bring ourselves back onto our backs, releasing the arms as well. Now just think about melting those shoulder blades down into the ground, lengthening through the collarbones, and we're going to take a gentle rock from side to side with the legs. Thinking about window wipers in a car, gently rocking from side to side. As we start to slow down the practice now into a few stretches to finish. So I'm going to keep our legs rocked over to the right side as we straighten out through the left arm, gently rolling the head over to look at that outstretched left arm. Feeling that spinal twist as the legs anchor down in one way and the arm and upper body reaches over to the other side. Nice deep inhale and exhale. Releasing that arm back into the side of the body as we roll the legs all the way over to the left. Reaching out through that right arm now, looking over to the outstretched arm with the head. Nice deep breaths here. And releasing that arm back down, bringing the legs back up to the center. We're going to straighten out through the legs now. Taking the arms overhead, trying to get one straight line from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. Pushing the lower spine flat down into the ground as well. I'm going to walk the legs over to the left side of the mat, crossing the right leg over the left leg. And I'm going to bring the upper body and arms over to the left side of the mat as well. So we're creating a nice banana-shaped curve. Opening into the right side of the body, holding that there, nice deep breaths. And then slowly uncurling back up to the center. Let's walk the legs over to the right side of the mat now. This time the left leg crosses over the right. Upper body goes over as well. Banana shape on the other side. Nice deep breaths. Breathing into that left side of the body this time. And then slowly uncurl back to that straightened position. Relaxing down through the arms, drawing those knees in towards the chest. I'm going to gently bring ourselves all the way back up to sitting position, going around to a comfortable cross-leg position. One final stretch for the chest and the upper back. So we're going to take both arms back behind us. Thumbs want to be pointing up to the ceiling, so we're really opening through the chest, squeezing those shoulder blades together tightly, pushing out through the chest and the rib cage. Option to look up to the ceiling as well with the head and neck if you want to. Nice deep breaths here. And then sweep the arms round together in front, fingers come to meet. Push those shoulder blades away from each other as you tuck your chin down into the chest. Stretching through the upper back. Nice deep breaths here. And relax the arms down to the legs. So we take gentle half circles around with the head. Stretching through the back of the neck. And then slowly uncurving the head back to an upright position. And that brings us to the end of this Pilates from Home session. I hope that you enjoyed today's practice. As always, if you've got any messages or questions, please feel free to drop me a message or an email. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your days. And hopefully I'll see you very soon. Bye.